All right. What's going on, y'all? Hope y'all are having an awesome weekend so far on this beautiful Saturday, September 15th of 2018. It's your host, Z-Rex, over here at No Noise, researching it up, checking out markets. Sorry I missed y'all yesterday. It was a late night at work, and I was super tired. Didn't have any energy. It's just been a real busy week. It's good. I got a local restaurant around here, and we slow down in the summer because everyone's on vacation. We do a lot of delivery, and now that families are back in, it's nice. It's great. So, let's talk about crypto though. Who cares about that? So price act, bell it, smash it. Y'all know the drill. Keep it short and sweet. We don't have to talk about that the whole time. Excuse me. So let's just go ahead and go to the markets. Whoop. So we got market cap here is nicely above 200. We've been discussing that. It needs to get back above that to really get for real, but really it's still kind of weak. It's just floating right above there since the last video that we made, which was on, what was that? Let's see here. Guess that would have been Wednesday night. Yeah, because Thursday was a good crypto meetup night. So that night got washed, and yesterday was big work night. But yeah, so Wednesday night we talked about targeting about the 6,600 area for a move, that it was looking a little bit bullish. It is, but it's very lackluster. We'll get into that a little bit more on the chart. But back to this market cap and the volume. You know, it's booty volume right here. If y'all can see this on the chart on the bottom right here. That is not sexy volume going down. And it's pretty much stalled immediately since right when we got over 200. So I don't like that on the market cap. And as y'all know, we did see about 40 billion come out in a day. It was actually less than a day. It was like 2/3 of a day. So that was pretty, you know, don't forget crypto does that. But that also means 40 billion can come into the market in one day. So it's not all doom and gloom. Bitcoin dominance still hovering over 55%. Y'all know my thoughts on that. Check out the other videos that I've done for more info on that, on my thoughts of it. In short, though, I think big money is going into Bitcoin because that is Mama Bear. It has to start all of these coins rallies anyway. Of course, there's outliers that pop 20 to 100%. You know, maybe Dogecoin is a good recent example, but you know, those are outliers. So generally speaking, for everybody to get excited again, Bitcoin's gonna have to lead the pack. So a lot of the money's going into it now, and that has been shown with its dominance. We can actually look at a little graph I have pulled up over here. This is a cool website, coinsignals.trade. Is where you can find this graph, and so it just plots the dominance of Bitcoin on a nice little trading view chart. So that's handy. But yeah, you can see getting up here, it is in a commanding lead. It is most likely to keep gaining dominance, I would imagine, up into the 60% range. Back over to Bitcoin chart. Oh, sorry. The general markets here. Let's go ahead and filter some of the booty coins, or lots of them. We don't need to see those. The last day or so, Ethereum has been the better performer. Bitcoin, Tezos, and ETC. I actually like ETC a lot. Let's actually go look at it. Since we brought it up here, we'll do some ETC dollar action. Oh, that trade did not make it. I guess I had this up back over here in early September. So it did for a second to the 55, which is always a formidable resistance point. Got rejected there 2 days in a row, and then, well, oh, this was the trifecta of news, what it could have been or whatever. Who cares? But there you go. On this one, it did hit like a first kind of 55. You always know if you stall there, the trade is getting weak. And then you get a little doji here the next day. And then the next day, I think it was like mid-morning, right before lunch. Most of this happened, and then really got accelerated towards the end of the day for most of the currencies. But yeah, so again, on this, stop out. You're going to be wrong. It's going to happen. It's not a big deal. Even if it goes down to here to about a 10% level, that's okay. You only need about 11% to get that back on something else. It's when you start getting into those, we talked about this too, those exponentials, where when you get past like about 20%, you start needing really big gains to get that back. And if you go down to 50% loss, then you need to double up to get just to break even. And then if you go to like 90% loss and like 95 and up, it gets into insane numbers. Like you need 1800, percent to get back. And I mean, it's just pretty much like it's not going to happen, is what that means. But so adhere to your trading plan. It is the only thing you can control. Anyway, I digress. Price action. On the daily, ETC is still pretty bearish. Let's zoom in. On the 4-hour, it's staying above the 21 exponential, which is also coinciding with the triple moving exponential, which are these blue dots here. They behave very differently. Like, for example, this triple exponential here is a 55 moving average, and this is the yellow is the 21 exponential moving average. So you can see how much different they plot. They are very fun to use for like good support levels, and that's usually how I use them, or resistance levels like back here when it gets below them. So we are having those stack up on the 21 and on the triple exponential, or the TMA. And so it looks like we might be getting ready to test up over here to this 144 exponential. It's still not looking great though. Oscillators are neutral on all time frames. So all time frames, but the daily is bearish. So yeah, it's not really nothing to really see here, unless you just want to play price action alone. If you do zoom back on this chart, you do have a lot of business done in this area. So you could just use horizontal trading method here, and you're at 11 bucks. This doesn't look bad from that kind of angle, and you could kind of do stop out from all of the lows and of these bodies, which is like 10. Just call it $10 flat. That's not really too bad when you're looking at a risk. That's what, about 12-13% to the downside. And I mean, you'd be targeting at least up to the 55 exponential. At least I would be, and more likely this trend line here that has been touched quite a few times since December. And so that's a pretty good run up that you're definitely over your 2-to-1. And 2-to-1 is a risk reward. So if that's your risk, if you want to do 2 times to the bottom, that's 10, let's just say 10% for easy math. You want to try to target at least 20% on the upper side. And that's not including like scalping. Some people just scalp and look for ticks, but that's just a whole nother ball game. All right, so we're not even going to go into that. Let's go back, or let's go into Bitcoin, because ETC took the show for a second there. So Bitcoin is getting rejected right here. You have this spinning top. One thing, there's zero volume really playing it with this at all, which I don't like that much, especially since we saw lots of volume here. But anyway, spinning top getting rejected almost exactly. We talked about it, y'all, on that video, that the target would be this exponential, which was about 6,600. It pretty much touched it almost to the T and missed it by like $3, 350 to be exact. But anyway, and now we're just consolidating us the tops of here, and we did just close the daily, so we're only about an hour and a half into the new day. So there's not really much to deduce out of this. We just kind of have to wait. And we are getting a little bit of triple exponential support on the daily right here at 64.50-ish. So that is a little bit interesting. Clearly we haven't had that since this initial sell-off. So, and you can see, for example, the triple EMA dots in the background here. We clearly were below them for a long time. Tried to come up on it, bang on the 21 a bunch of times, then bang on the 55. Finally closed over, but you can look right when it was touching and playing with the 21, the TMA got below it, and we're kind of seeing the same structure over here. And on the daily on Bitcoin, we are neutral for sure and officially since the last video, which is a good sign. That means the bears, they are not in their commanding lead anymore like they are back here when they get into the power zone, which is above about 25. Let's look at it on the 4 hour. Still neutral on the 4 hour, which isn't the best sign. Especially being over the 21 and the 55. I'd like to see a little bit more strength in that move, but it does look like, since I haven't looked extensively in the last, you know, maybe 30-ish hours, you know, this is making a very tight range that it's been ping-ponging since the last video that I made, which is very interesting. And it's only like not even a couple $100. Wow, yeah. So that makes sense why the oscillators are like this. So with that being said, when oscillators kind of get flat and you don't get anything, especially on the higher time frames, you can chop down to the hourly and see, guys, this is not a good sign. So that's what I was kind of seeing on the 4 hour, but this is like confirming what I was talking about. And we've discussed using the hourly DMI to kind of see weakness in the lowest time frame that I will use is an hour. I don't go below that, and I only like monitor the market. I don't initiate trades off of it, but I might close them because of it. And this one is a definitely, you don't want to see on the hourly down here the DMI, the bears getting some control. So that's not the best thing. Every time that we see that happen, we did see it here, but it was just like a little spike sell-off. Kind of just ran. That was a little bit crazy. That must have happened, yeah, yesterday. Okay, yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't look at charts much yesterday, man. I can't even talk. So yeah, you can see here when the bulls just got over barely into the power zone on the hourly, it led to a nice rally, right? But now we're getting the opposite. We are getting the bears a little bit more in control on the hourly, and we have banged on the longest term moving average here of a bunch. Okay, so that's not good. It means it's getting sold off from there a lot. And let's look back a little bit more. I wanted to show on this one, this is where we were really discussing the hourly DMI when it went neutral here. You know, look, the bears didn't even get control, but they just sprung out of nowhere, and then they showed that hey, no, this is our game right now. And so that like pretty much killed any longs on this move. But you can see it was getting weaker. The DMI on the bulls continued to drain the entire time after hitting this trend line once, and that is not a good sign for a continued strength and momentum to the upside. That's actually indicative of momentum to the downside, especially as you see the bears creeping up here, getting into the neutral zone after it bangs on this, tangoing with the bulls and then dominating them. So this is something to be very concerned about, because even here when they go into neutral zone, you can see it's just sideways action, kind of this tight ass range that we're in now. Bulls try to do it, ultimately failed, then bears regained and said we have dominance here. And you know, that was still in the range before this big dump that it told you. You also have a nice little volume increase, kind of confirming that they have that. And that's one thing that does scare me a little bit about this move, is if we look at it on a 4 hour, you don't have much volume on any of this here. All the volume is done on this sell-off. So that's not the best, but we are neutral on the internals, so it's super 50-50 right here. You know, when I made that last video, it was good for a little run to 66. It was very likely. That's what the charts were showing me, especially because we broke over here the 21 exponential, and the same thing happened as I mentioned earlier. That's happening now, but on the bullish side, you have slight consolidation in the power zone. kind of charging up for that move. I'm wondering if the exact same thing is happening right now for the bears. But you have a lot of indicators all converging right here in this super tight range of a couple $100. So again, since we're in this range trading market, you know, buy the breakout, you know, or the breakdown. It's pretty much the best way to trade this and less risky way to trade it, because there's not much giving you a hint other than this DMI. This is the one thing that is kind of saying I need to be a little cautious here. Let's see. The better thing though is that we are a little neutral on the higher time frames. Let's see the 3-day. Nope, 3-day is, oh man, that's close. We have to bring that up on the big one. Yeah, I mean, that's like right on top of it. So since they are above it here, we'll go ahead and call it tie goes to the runner, right? All right, let's go to Ethereum, see if it's being any kind of canary for us like it was before. Oh wow, look at this volume here, guys. Okay, so Ethereum looked good here for the bounce, and we talked about it on that video that it was putting in a hammer, right? And discussed that and said if price can stay above the half part of this hammer, that's very bullish for a nice little pop. It played out pretty nicely. We got real weak though to the middle of this channel, couldn't even get up to the 21 exponential, and that was on the daily. Let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, and you can see it a little bit more clear. Pretty weak, staying consistently and pretty much the same distance all the way down. But they also did show divergence in the DMI here and started to show divergence a little bit later in the RSI here, a couple of days later. And so, but when it made this candle though, which is what we're talking about, this one back here before this action, it's got a new hammer. So on this first hammer, failed, and then kept failing all these midpoints and the 21, and then we busted through the TMA, and then it was continued downside. Now we're at the bottom of this channel. We did a measured move off of this, which puts Ethereum down at $100. That would be like the ultimate bearish case scenario, and that was a measured move from this flag right here, this bear flag. So it is getting like close to it here. You know, we only missed it by, what is it, like $60? So that's quite a bit. So we did miss it by about 60, but this still isn't looking super bullish, except for the fact that there is mad volume right here after this hammer candle, this new hammer. We'll call it the new hammer, the local hammer. High volume, and this is actually what I wanted to see, and I talked about it on this one here. If we want some good follow through, we want this hammer to be reversed by an engulfing candle, a big body on higher volume or at least equal volume. And we got this funky candle on a little less than equal volume, and it was an inverted hammer, a shooting star, right after a hammer, which is pretty rare. That you don't see that very often. So it made like this a super good floor, like this whole little area, which you can see proceeded to be, for 2 weeks, the area it floated in almost entirely. Here we're having play out what I was discussing that we wanted, which is printing that big engulfing past the previous, you know, several days of business on higher or equal volume, and we got higher, substantially, like clearly higher, not substantially but clearly higher, and got that whole body with the close towards the top, and then another sellers tried to smash it, and then the next day, which closed earlier today, buyers still came in, and there's lots of people playing in this range. I mean, it's the most volume that we've seen on Ethereum since last winter. So if y'all can see that here, let me make this a little bigger so you can see it a little clearer. All right, so here you go, is right now. And you know, you have a couple spikes here, a couple sell-off spikes. Well, there's a lot of people dumping there because I guess smart money was like, we're gonna bleed this out a little more. Whatever the reason, who cares? You got this high volume like nodes back to back to back too on a sell-off, And we haven't even seen that most consecutive moving up almost here-ish, kind of like here. This probably looks the most similar, and a little bit right here. But more so this one, because this one already had nice volume. Let me scroll back. It already had a nice little cluster right before it. And this one had a decent cluster of sell volume. So, okay, so it is pretty similar. You know, sometimes, hey, you gotta be objective with that stuff. And you see it and analyze it more. That's what's cool about doing these videos for me, is like it's helping me be like that, be a little bit more genuine with myself, I guess you could say, and less biased, because it's so easy to be biased, especially when you hold positions a lot. You know, confirmation bias is a real thing, and you just might build a chart that's a bullish or bearish to you, so do be careful of that. All right, let's see here. We are comparing this volume node and a big spike, and look at that, you actually had a hammer candle here too, almost same setup as we're getting now, except the engulfing had less volume, but it was followed by one the next day with like tremendous good volume. So in effect, very similar strike. Here, a bigger bodied candle, but almost matched, followed by consolidation at the tops of the candle. All right, so right now, this is interesting. Ethereum is actually kind of showing some strength. So it was the canary in the coal mine last time for the downside. It never got any strength. Now we are below the 21 exponential still. Okay, so that is not a great thing. But we are, there are some people playing ball down here. There's massive liquidity. There's value being had, and whether that's even getting charged up to go to the downside or to pump this up a little bit, you know, of course no one knows. But if you look at similar volume profiles to this, it did have a nice rally preceding all of them. And the most notable one that compares it with the price action too is this node, where you can see I've continued sell-off, nice little kind of capitulation, then a quick little bounce. And that was, what is that, June 17. So that is very interesting, being at the bottom of this trend line, which I talked about when the sell-off happened. A lot of people wanted to jump on the short train. That's kind of dangerous when you're at these levels. Way safer here on the immediate lash out that was confirmed with the volume. But here, I mean, now you're on massive support, and going back even on a basic horizontal analysis, I mean, look at that. I mean, like, that's not the place where risk to reward is your friend. All right, so I do think Ethereum is showing us that this market might be getting ready to get a little pumpy. Look at the 4-hour DMI. Looks substantially stronger than Bitcoin's. Bitcoin's actually showing, let's see what it looks like on an hour. Okay, so this is interesting. On the hourly, though, on Ethereum, we did just dip a little bit below, and they are losing their strength over the last couple hours, getting rejected on the longest term moving average, which has shown us resistance since it barely nipped it on September 3rd. And ever since then, it's been below it. So, you know, this would be, what is that, about 230 bucks. Closing over that's going to be very bullish. And let's see what a 618 retracement is from roughly this area. So if we can break above like 630, we'll probably run to mid 240s. Like that's pretty damn likely, especially on this volume on the higher time frames. On the daily, it does look very nice. And let's see, since the daily just started today, there's, yeah, you can't really see anything on there. A couple hours ain't nothing. So let's see if Ethereum is the canary on the upside this time. All right, let's go to Litecoin, see if it's showing any kind of hints. There it is. Doing kind of the same thing, bouncing on this little channel that it's been in. Not near strong. Neutral on the daily. On the 4-hour, though, it's still fairly strong. And we're bouncing right here. Oh, wow, though, look at this. So we have but this still has 2 hours on it, and it's right here. But hardcore resistance at 57, and we should have really good support at 55. So really tight ranges. We are coiling up. We've consolidated enough since this kind of initial sell-off earlier this month. We are coiled and ready to do the next move. Now, which way that is, of course, nobody knows, but it is looking very neutral here, and this is where it's safer just to wait for breakouts on price and then jump on, buy the breakouts. You can anticipate and play that, but do know that is literally guessing. And now it's better than casino odds, though, because it's 50-50, you know. That's it. So it's not that bad. Litecoin's not really giving us any signs here. It's super, super neutral. There you go. The 850 is confirming that range, about 57 to the 58 here. We'll just keep it at that. And if we can't get over this, we're getting rejected. So funny, Ethereum is now looking like the strongest token. We do have double rejections at the 21 EMA on the daily, but again, like I said, 55 is a super solid support on there, or like that mid 50s level, I should just say. It's never just right on the money, right? Well, sometimes it is, but that's just getting lucky, I would say. All right, let's go to EOS. Look at this, guys. Whew, Jesus. 1, 2, 3 days getting rejected. I mean, the bodies are closing right like 3 times trying to break that 550 area. It's having very much trouble doing it. We are extremely neutral on the daily. We are bullish on the 4 hour. And okay, yeah, so the 4 hour looks pretty good. 21's crossed the, or it's about to cross on this candle if price stays anywhere above 525. The 4 hour 21 will cross the 55, so that'll be good. And let me extend this channel out a little. There we go. Whoa, my computer's breaking. All right, so we can kind of target this 580 area if we can hold 525. So this could be like a little flag. It's kind of extended, but you know, it's a loose one for sure. On the daily though, neutral, 4 hour bullish, hourly neutral. So pretty damn neutral. We're in that price action zone, not like the last video which we had a bullish bias, and you know, that's what the charts are telling us. Now they're not telling us that, except on Ethereum. Ethereum is telling us that, which is super interesting. You almost tricked me. Again, Bittrex on the list there. You ain't got no data. Hourly on Ripple, neutral. 4 hour, neutral. Daily, bearish biased. And 850, a slight bearish bias, just ever so slightly. So again, kind of playing out the board. We haven't pulled ourselves out of this yet. This could just be like a little consolidation bounce to get ready to sell off some more. But a lot, yeah, and it's weird. I don't know. The sentiment in the news is kind of, it feels like a lot of people are calling the bottom. I know Novogratz came out and said that. I'm seeing more people put like charts and evidence and indicators. They're like, look, the Williams percent is oversold, or this is saying that we're deeply oversold. Like, it's like, why didn't they say those things like 4 or 5 days ago? Why are they saying them now? I don't know. I don't like it. But hey, we're in the super tight range on most coins. I mean, you're talking, what is this? This is like, what is that? 3% range, 3-4% range on Ripple. It's not worth that little, unless you're scalping the ranges, which is a great way to trade when it gets like this. Just sell the tops and buy the bottoms. And just swing, just be fast with those trades because they happen in days or hours sometimes. Just take them off like that's all you're trying to do. But when they get like that, oscillators are very, they BS a lot, but price will never BS you. And so that's where I'm kind of looking here, is a lot of these little type box ranges. The only one that's given us a little internal positivity is Ethereum right now, which is funny because that's a huge sentiment change from what it was earlier. But I would like to see it close above that 230 level on anything above an hour at this point would be pretty damn bullish. All right, let's go to Monero. So Monero had lots of people playing ball right here, so that is good. We are above the 21 and the 55 on the daily, so that is good. We are also bullish on the oscillators, so that is also really good. Monero is showing us some relative strength. Wow, even on the 4 hour, it looks great. We bounced up over with an engulfing smash through two of the lower or the midterm moving averages. Consolidated in there, price was accepted to go smash through yet the next one. This is very good price action right here, very healthy. So I actually am really liking Monero. It looks like most of this happened since I made that last video. Yeah, there's that one spike, and it is up to about 117 at the moment. Let's see what a fib retracement is. So 124, so we are going to get some. So there's hardcore resistance at 125 on Monero. So we have made that extension, so do be careful here. Keep an eye on if it can just hold above the 21 and 55. But it is showing quite a bit of strength. On the hourly, though, it has broken down since early this morning. So that's okay. It's still above the 55, and like I said, I don't trade off the hourly. I like it to initiate and open trades, maybe to manage them. On the 4 hours where I kind of like to do the bread and butter. Let's see, anything else on Monero? It's showing us something, possibly some divergence forming on RSI and DMI, but it's not definitive yet at all. All right. Let's go to Dash, because, you know, it's Dash Coin, dude. They got airplane ads, so you know it's good. Let me make this a little thinner. This is kind of intense line there. Alright, so it's been forming this. Let's go to a daily. It's been forming like this, bouncing off this triangle. We talked about it on that other video. It was chopping through this range. It's getting rejected at the 55 EMA on the daily hardcore after this initial pump. That's not the best sign. I would also bet this is a 618 retracement from here. Yep. So it's getting rejected at a hardcore area of support. So that's about 210 bucks, let's call it. And so if we can't get over 210 on a daily, this is looking very bearish. And now we are flipping on the other side of this trend line. I mean, you could have drawn it a little like this, or if you only use wicks, I guess you draw it like that, so it hasn't. I like to use bodies more, but you're kind of just splitting hairs there, because I mean, like, look at this, it's $10 on a $200 product. It's like not really that big of a deal on a $200 product that moves, has high volatility. I have to say that part. You know, $10 on like Johnson & Johnson or something like that, or that's huge, right? Or Hershey's, that would be a huge move in Hershey's, even though it's like a $120 stock. But anyway, this is getting a little bit bearish, so do be careful with the Dash. Funny, there's a lot of confusion in the market. There's some showing some strength, but I would say it looks to be about 70–80% of them are still fairly weak. There's only some internal stuff on Ethereum and Monero that I've noticed that look like there's some hidden bullishness in there. All right, let's see. Let's just go to Bitcoin for the final thoughts. So again, let's go to the daily. Here's this red line. That is the SEC deadline. I would be shocked if we don't get a rally, though, into that. Not a big one, just up to like this 55 exponential. That's all I'm kind of expecting, which is about 6,800. I'm not really expecting it to break outside of our lovely support green box that we've had on here for a long time. But I'm not really expecting it to get out of that box here. Unless it gets approved, then everyone will get super stupid excited. But I am not expecting that. I don't really think anyone is. Hey, that's might be why it happens, right? But who knows? Again, massive resistance here, as it's already been shown to us. That point got slapped, rejected. That move got rejected. Got slapped again at the 618 of this move. So that's a double rejection. And so now I believe the next 618, weirdly enough, looks like it lines up with the top of this box, which it does. Look at that, guys. Right on top of it. So I'm not really expecting it to break out of there, but I am expecting it to go touch that. And wait for the SEC thing. You know, they'll probably just kick the can down the road some more. But one of these days, it will be approved. Do know that. This is going to happen. So, and it's likely going to be followed by moves like this, and possibly like this. It might be a buy the rumor, sell the news a little bit late. I'm really curious to see what happens with price after the Bitcoin ETF finally gets approved. That's going to be pretty damn interesting. So with that said, I'll be signing off from here and going out for Saturday evening. I hope y'all are safe out there. Be safe. Happy trading. Again, this is No Noise with your host Z-Rex with those good old Bitcoin charts. And we usually do equities, but not on Saturday. We will do them tomorrow because they're not traded on Saturday anyway, so yeah, whatever. But we do the wrap up and on Friday, and then on Sunday we discuss kind of like the you know, because futures open on Sunday evening, so we start talking about kind of things that we're looking for in the week. All right, guys, sub, bell, and smash, and we will see you tomorrow to start this new week off. All right, guys, peace.